I'm going to talk a little bit about the novel setting. When we take a look at the novel setting, we look at what the surroundings in the novel is. The novel describes a community in the 60s where there's a big social differences between different parts of a city. Ponyboy, the main actor, presents his city as split into two zones, the east side and the west side, the rich versus the poor. In this case, the east side are the poor ones, and the west side are the rich ones. Um, many cities are divided along economic lines, and often, broadly speaking, into east side and west side, like here in this novel.
Ponyboy is the novel's 14-year-old narrator, and his literary interests, results at school, and academic accomplishments sets him apart from the rest of his gang. Though only 14 years old, he understands the way his social group functions and the role each group member plays. Because his parents have died in a car accident, Ponyboy lives with his brothers Derry and Sodapop. Derry repeatedly accuses Ponyboy of lacking common sense, but Ponyboy is a reliable and observant narrator. Throughout the novel, Ponyboy struggles with class division, violence, innocence, and familial love. This novel is not just a story of gang rivalry, it's an account of Ponyboy's development as a person. He is a good listener, and instead of complaining when he disagrees, he listens. This also makes him kind of an odd one out compared to the other greasers. Johnny is a 16-year-old greaser with black hair and large fearful eyes and a warm heart. Though Johnny does not succeed in school, he approaches intellectual matters with steady concentration. Johnny has alcoholic, abusive parents and is very nervous and sensitive. Since his parents do not care for him, Johnny sees the Greasers as his true family. The Greasers also need Johnny, for protecting him gives them a sense of purpose and justifies their violent measures. In turn, the older boys, especially Dally, are protecting him. Dally is like his father. Johnny has big courage despite his tiny body, and this reflects itself when he rescued the children and killed Soch, but Johnny ends up by advocating against gang violence, stating that he would gladly sacrifice his life for the lives of the little children. Darryl is Ponyboy's oldest brother. Darryl, known as Derry, is a 20-year-old greaser who takes the responsibility of raising Ponyboy. He loves his brothers, though has a bit weird way of showing it. Instead of being caring and understanding, he is stern and protecting of them. However, this is only because he doesn't want to lose them. Derry has quit school even though he's strong, athletic, and intelligent. He works 2 jobs to hold the family together. The other greasers call him Superman.
Shut up! I'm sick and tired of you sticking up for him, you hear me? Don't you yell at him!
Sodapop is the middle Curtis boy. He has silky dark old hair that comes back with dark brown eyes. He is a high school dropout at 16 and a half years and works at a local gas station with his best buddy Steve. Sodapop is dating and in love with Sandy in the beginning, but it turned out that she was moved to Florida because her parents didn't approve the idea of Soda marrying her, so he is heartbroken. Dallas is the toughest boy in Ponyboy's group of greasers. Dallas, known as Dally, is a teen who used to run with gangs in New York. He has an elfin face and icy blue eyes. Dallas' violent tendencies makes him the most dangerous greasers, and he takes pride in his criminal record. Dally feels protecting of Johnny and protects him at all costs. The introduction of Cherry suggests that individual friendships can chip away at group hatreds. Cherry gets along perfectly well with some of the greasers. She likes Ponyboy and Johnny because they treat her politely. She is Bob's girlfriend and the Soch cheerleader. Ponyboy and Cherry have a great deal in common, and Ponyboy feels comfortable talking to her. In the days preceding the Rumble, Cherry becomes a spy for the Greasers. Cherry is an odd one out compared to the Socias. 2-Bit is the Joker of Ponyboy's group. 2-Bit, whose real name is Keith, is a wisecracking greaser. He makes people laugh and has a very fun personality, along with lazy, often being teased for not having a job. He instigates the hostilities between the Socias and the Greasers by flirting with Marcia.
Now I'm going to tell a little bit about the plots in the novel The Outsiders. The Outsiders tells the story of two loosely organized teen gangs in the mid-60s in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's about the Greasers and the Socias. The narrator, Ponyboy Curtis, becomes involved in the killing of a sock when he and his friend Johnny K are attacked in the park one night. The Greasers go on a run and they hide out in an abandoned church for nearly a week before they decide to turn themselves into the police. But before they can do so, the old church is on fire, and Ponyboy Johnny and the Greaser friend Dallas Winston heroically rescues a group of children who are inside. Johnny is badly burned. While he's in the hospital, the Greasers and the Socias battle out in a rumble for territorial rights. The Greasers win, but Johnny later dies from the injuries. Dallas, Johnny's best friend, commits suicide by cop shortly after. Pony is cleared of the murder charges and is able to remain with his brothers, Soda Pop and Derry, whose parents have been killed in a car accident just weeks before. Very affected by the events, Ponyboy decides to tell his story in an essay for his English class that becomes the basis for the story.
Theme. The novel has many different themes, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about the three most central ones. First off is loyalty. Loyalty is a point of pride, honor, and a principle for Ponyboy Curtis, the main actor in The Outsiders. He doesn't like some of the gang members in his gang, especially not the dangerous Dallas Winston, but he would take a bullet for him anyway because the gang members stood up for each other and supported each other at any time. The second theme is love. The Outsiders features hints of romance, but that is not the main event. Our narrator, Ponyboy, is most interesting of showing us love between gang members and challenging family situations. For example, dangerous Dallas Winston, he bullied and yelled at Johnny, his best friend, and realized at the end of the book how much he actually meant for him. The same thing with Ponyboy and his older brother Derry. He always yelled at Pony whenever he was around, but at the end of the book he realized how much his brothers meant to him. The third theme I'm going to tell you about is violence. The Outsiders is a very violent book. Gang violence, child abuse, stabbing, shootings are the ones that drives the action. This is basically what the book is all about. Violent rivalry between the Socias and the Greasers. And violence is very central. It is in both the book and the movie, and the Greasers and the Socias fighting through the whole book, and that is what drives the book.
Climax. The climax is often found near the middle of the story, and so it is in this novel. It marks the high point of physical or emotional drama. So I think that the climax in this story is the burning church full of children, and the teenage fugitives running into the church rescuing the little kids. Even though they might accidentally have started the fire with their cigarettes, that's not what motivates them to go in and rescue all their kids. Johnny and Ponyboy don't think twice about helping. They just run in and rescues the kids without even thinking twice about what the danger is of doing it. The crisis brings out all that is honorable and good inside them. And that's why I think that this is the climax in the story.
Narrator. The Outsiders is told by a 14-year-old Ponyboy Curtis in a personal first-person perspective. So, everything we learn in the story comes from his point of view, through his eyes, and the whole story is based on his thoughts and feelings. As narrator, Ponyboy strikes us pretty honest and observant. He doesn't hesitate to show us his own flaws, and he tries to truthfully describe the social environment in which he exists, violence, crime, and brotherhood. This story deals with issues that are very close to the hearts of teens, both today and in the 60s. He also presents a balanced picture of his brothers and friends,
even showing us how his feelings for them change over time as he becomes more mature.
Hello and welcome to a special interview with including the actors from the movie and the book The Outsiders. With me we got Rob Lowe and Christopher Thomas Howell. And who are you playing in the movie? And tell me a little bit about your characters.
I'm playing Ponyboy Curtis, the main character in this novel. In the novel, Ponyboy Curtis is a 14-year-old boy whose world has been turned upside down. His parents were killed in a car accident just 8 months before this outside story takes place. Ponyboy lives with his oldest brother Larry, who's only 20 years old, and he has legal custody of Ponyboy. And he also lives with his other brother Soda Pop, who's only 16 years old.
And I'm playing Soda Pop Curtis, the middle Curtis. I'm said to be the movie star Handsome, and I have silky dark gold hair, and I'm a high school dropout at 16 and a half years old. I work at a local gas station with my best buddy Steve, fixing cars and working on cash mostly. I'm dating and in love with Sandy, and in the beginning of the book, a greaser girl. It turned out that she moves to Florida because her parents didn't like the idea of me marrying her. I was nearly heartbroken at the end.
So Christopher, what do you think that friendship is so important in this book?
I think friendship is so important in this novel because the Greasers are always there for each other, watching each other's backs. Because most of the Greasers doesn't have parents, or if they do, they don't care about what they are doing. And that's why it's so important for them to always have friends that they know they can rely on and that will always help them when they are in trouble. And they also know that any time the Greaser friends would have taken a bullet for them if they were in massive trouble.
My next question is for you, Rob, and I'm wondering what is your definition about being an outsider?
In my opinion, an outsider is a person who is excluded and isolated from a group or does not belong to any. I can imagine that an outsider can have a certain feeling of little chance of succeeding or winning. In worst case scenario, an outsider is completely excluded from and detached from the most of the activities in his or her community. My opinion about it is divided. It's of course not satisfying to be an odd one out, but it can be a positive thing, like in Ponyboy's situation.
Another one for you, Christopher. Why do you think that there's a rivalry between the Greasers and the Socialists in this book?
I think there is a rivalry between the Socialists and the Greasers because the Socialists were raised thinking that they are much better than most people. And on the other side, the Greasers are representing the hard-working poor kids. And also because the Greasers are seen as delinquents by the society and by the Socialists, that's how they live and establish themselves. And one more thing, I also think it's about territory, women, money, etc.